Hi everyone, my name is Jack Ananchenko, CTO at StellarSoft. Today I'm joined by Karin Schultz, Director of Product at Stay AI, the leading subscription and retention platform and product for Shopify merchants. So we are catching up right after the Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. We'll talk about how brands deal with that kind of pressure, how products like Stay AI help them deal with that, and then basically more about the subscription business in Shopify and basically how we are heading into 2026. Welcome to the show, Karin.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. To start just very light with this podcast, can you tell us a little bit more about your journey at Stay AI, how these more than 2 years have been for you, and what kind of like responsibilities you've got?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've been at Stay for almost 3 years now, and I joined when we had, I think, like 30 merchants, and we've grown exponentially since then. It's been an exciting journey to say the least. My role has grown in its ability to support a larger subset of merchants. Right now, I really sit at the cross section of customer intent and data, and then our overall team, right? So my day to day is really encompassing what do our merchants want to see in the marketplace and doing customer interviews with them and making sure that the things that we're driving are actually fitting and moving that needle. And then making sure that our teams cross functionally are aware of what we're building and trying to tap into their understanding and making sure they're communicating those things properly. My day to day is focused wholly on merchant lifetime value and driving AOV and driving retention rates and driving acquisition. And that's just continued to iterate as we get bigger. I talk to more merchants, I have better data, and I have better teams, but it's just been an incredible journey for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for the context. Hot topic, Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
You lead the product. Can you tell us a little bit more about how was this year's event for your team and your merchants, like
Yeah.
overall?
Absolutely. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday is always a stressful time. No matter what, it just
Indeed.
pans out to be stressful. But with that being said, we have such powerful tools for our merchants to be able to create these really impactful marketing flows. We have incredible tools that really create user experience to drive any sort of journey that the merchant could want. So our customer support team is well equipped with understanding of how to use those tools. So overall, our teams were very successful in terms of Black Friday traffic. We saw a large bump in traffic. We saw a large bump in subscriptions. But the prep time, I think, is the most impactful because we have this team that understands how to build retention flows and even more so how to build acquisition flows in the BFCM time. So our tools are really geared towards making sure that marketers can build those flows effectively. So the ramp up time to Black Friday was fun, but I feel like as far as the tools that we have available for merchants, it makes it easy to equip them to be successful in those times. So I'm glad we saw some really great traffic and we saw some really great results, some awesome, really creative campaigns that I was excited to see. So it was a fun time.
Oh, cool. How early do your merchants start preparations?
Goodness, it starts in October at the very latest. At the
The
very
latest,
latest.
the
Yeah,
latest. Okay.
the latest.
Uh,
The crunch time is the November time frame is when everyone's meeting and making sure that everything is working properly, but plans really start well before October. It's fun.
oh, okay. Sounds good. Is there any engagement that they do with you and your team in terms of like the preparation, any like suggestions, ideas, maybe like Stay AI has any like kind of like tips for
Yeah,
how it's better to organize everything to better go through this
absolutely.
BFCM?
BFCM, yep. Absolutely, yeah. I think my biggest suggestion from a product perspective is map out your flows and map out your desired end state with your customer support representative, especially if you're on a retention or an acquisition platform or any sort of Shopify integration, right? Map all of that stuff out well before the launch date of Black Friday. Make sure that the tools that you have in front of you are catered towards your plans, because from my perspective, we've had a lot of merchants just kind of like walk through, hey, I would love to do this, is this something this can support? And if it's not, I can go back to the team and see if it's a worthwhile priority to get in place for Black Friday for other merchants. So obviously from a customer support perspective, having that ramp up time is critical. But from a product perspective, being able to understand merchant intent months before Black Friday gives us the ramp up time to really determine, okay, this merchant had a really creative, awesome idea. Is this something we actually just want to build into the platform and productize? So earlier the better is probably my biggest piece of advice.
Oh, okay, sounds good. And like in terms of the overall like need from the merchants, like if one has an idea but you've never heard of it before, and then eventually you think that this is a great idea, how do you basically make sure? How do you identify which ones are worth prioritization in terms of like delivery, in terms of your product team, etc., etc.?
Yeah. So a lot of this falls into, it depends on the feature itself, honestly. But if we have data, I can make any decision. So if
Oh,
we
okay.
have a suggestion coming back from a merchant and I can directly correlate that to a data point that we already have, I can say, okay, this will actually drive X revenue for X percent of our merchants. This is worthwhile. And we have an internal threshold as far as, does this make sense from a revenue perspective? If yes, it's a go, and then we kind of stack rank from there. But if it's more innovative and something that's a little bit more creative, we actually use a lot of product testing tools that you can create these mock-ups and you can create a user experience and send it to merchants and kind of say, is this something you'd be interested in? And for those types of exploratory features, we have a similar threshold. Do X merchants find interest in this? Would X merchants actually use this for Black Friday? If so, let's put this on the productized prioritization list, and make sure that we're putting things in the right place as far as priority goes. So it really depends on the feature as far as which avenue we go down. But overall, data is obviously my favorite. If we can use
Cool.
data driven, that's my personal favorite.
A lot on data. Okay, sounds good. Cool. So it's just like long story short into the BFCM. I'm gonna remember that for for sure. So yeah, just generally, let's talk about Stay AI and your competitors. So you basically compete in a space of big players like Recharge and Bolt. And what do you think makes your approach different from theirs, especially in how you view the subscription as the performance channel?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, just to give some context on Stay, it was founded by Gina Pirelli, who's just an absolute genius from a marketing perspective. She just understands the customer journey. And so the deeply embedded concept of Stay, of being a platform that's built for marketers by marketers, was really injected in my veins from the minute that I got into Stay. So every single feature that we launch, there's a lot of technical nuance that you can introduce when you're working with Shopify. There's,
That's true.
right. Yeah. There's opportunity for a lot of engineering intervention that we try to avoid as much as we can. So our main paradigm is, how usable can we make this platform? How intuitive can we make it? And we've gotten so much feedback from merchants in the space just saying, Stay is the most intuitive platform. And it's because we're not building it to have a developer come in and deduce these API docs and then figure out exactly how the feature can work. We're making it intuitive from a non-technical perspective, even though it's doing very technical workings in the background. So that's, I think, a key differentiator. But the other thing is that we look at things holistically from a subscriber lifecycle journey perspective. So we're looking at things from checkout all the way through post cancellation. So win backs at the end of it, and then generating insights. There's no blip in the radar of the subscriber lifecycle that we don't support. And that's how we look at everything. It's like, okay, if there's a new opportunity in the customer lifecycle, how can Stay get involved early, and how can we make sure that we're presenting the best product forth for our merchants? So because of that, we see really high retention rates, and because of that, we see low churn. And I think if we continue to hold those pillars, we'll continue to be successful in a competitive space.
Okay. And like if we were to probably calculate or maybe like outline, can you highlight the features or innovations that have had the biggest impact on the customer retention this year?
Yeah.
Like what you actually introduce into Stay?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were the flagship provider of a gift with purchase builder. We were the first ones to market with that. It's now kind of become embedded in all of our platforms, but we were the first. And then since then, we've actually integrated machine learning models to identify churn risk. And then you can actually drive gifts with purchase to determine, okay, this customer should get a free gift or this customer should get a discounted promotion based on that churn risk threshold. So that was from the inception of Stay, but we've just continued to iterate on it, which is great. Something that we launched this year. Oh gosh, we launched a lot of stuff this year.
A
We
lot, I can
really,
imagine.
yeah, it's been such a whirlwind of a year. But we've been really honing in on acquisition and really trying to drive subscriber acquisition. So making that one-time to subscription conversion as easy as possible. So if a customer checks out with a one-time purchase, in the cart, we dynamically render hey, you want to upgrade and save 20%? You click that and it dynamically moves into a subscription purchase. And then we've introduced additional post-purchase experiences to drive into acquisition. We've integrated heavily with Shopify, so we have some really cool integrations as far as the accounts go. So customers have more dynamic control of their subscription without navigating to a different platform. There's been a lot, but like I said, it's just one of those things where we're really trying to take a holistic view on the subscriber lifecycle journey and say what's the smartest move and what's the most opportunistic place that we can introduce a new feature that will drive the most value for our customers. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but we've pushed so much this year, it's hard to summarize.
Yeah, for sure. And there is a lot of information, a lot that I would like to ask you about, but in general, like what you're saying here is, like, for instance, let's take the example of a one-time purchase, and then basically they place the order, it's an OTP, and then at the end of the day, you would like the customer, the merchant, to convert that to the ongoing subscription, right? So is that the functionality that Stay provides in terms of like follow-up emails, marketing campaigns, etc., etc.? Is it something, or is it more of a recommendation list that you provide to your merchants and then they implement it?
It's a great question. So we actually offer tools to fit both of those needs. So the first is at checkout for the customer to actually self-service, and we can drive content to actually convert that one-time purchase into a subscriber. That's a native Shopify journey that we support. The other thing that we can support and do support for our merchants is the ability to create campaigns with direct checkout links, and they actually have subscription selling plans within the checkout link. You can embed those in dynamic Klaviyo flows, PostScript flows, attentive flows, and then that can be sent to one-time purchases that were already completed. So let's say they didn't upgrade to subscribe within the checkout flow. They can then get this email or this text and drive them into a subscription purchase so that it converts them to that subscriber after the fact. So we've got a couple of different options. And then from a data insights perspective, we're driving more data insights to merchants around, I can't give too much away, but around how to better optimize their subscriptions for one-time purchasers as well.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. And do you notice any interesting trends or anything in how consumer loyalty or churn rates shift right after the major events? Let's say it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest push, right? There's so much work that goes into planning Black Friday campaigns. And then obviously there's a large dip every single year after Black Friday because customers got this deal, and it's human psychology, right? They get the deal and then they're like, I'm going to cancel this. It's holiday season. I'm buying a bunch of stuff for my friends and family. So we do see a huge dip and a churn event around the upcoming order time for their next subscription purchase. So what we're really trying to drive with merchants is, hey, yeah, you guys can push all you want for Black Friday, and that's great. Keep doing that. But you have to equally plan for the post-Black Friday, post-purchase experience, and utilizing a gift with purchase, using URLs to actually drive like additional discounts or drive actual new product information to the merchants after the fact, after they've checked out. So there needs to be equal focus in both of those flows, and that's really what we're trying to work with merchants to make sure that they're planning for both events in the same exact way.
Is there a checklist or something that you would like that you can outline as something that is applicable to like many merchants at the same time, as far as the general subscription-based approach, like
We
to their stores?
Yeah, we actually have a playbook
Oh, right, okay.
that I'm happy to send along if it's something you want to include with this.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah, the playbook is great and it gives you a quick hit list of, hey, let me check for all of this stuff. Let me make sure that I'm actually ready for that post cancel event.
That would be great. Yeah, for sure. If it's something public, of course, we'll
Yeah, you
include that.
bet. Absolutely.
Cool. Sounds good. Is there anything that like would you be able to outline the biggest challenges that the merchants face basically with the technical setup of their store, with any like marketing post campaign activity, etc.,
Mhm.
etc.?
So, just to clarify, challenges from a setup perspective or just challenges in terms of retention?
Challenges in terms of the retention. Technical setup can be part of it, like marketing campaigns, marketing efforts can be part of it, but in general, retention rates.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of different levers that I think merchants can and should pull. And we obviously, because there are a couple different levers, we provide a couple of different tools that merchants can use. Number one, I think we do a great job of utilizing the cancel survey to aggregate data on why your customers are wanting to churn. So we back in the day acquired Retention Engine, which was the first to market as far as a machine learning backed cancel survey.
Mm-hmm.
And the cancel reasons are dynamically put into this machine learning model. And then the model actually identifies, okay, different customer trends. So, what products are on the subscription, how you've operated within your subscription. And then it considers all of the save offers that you've set up and shows the most optimal save offer to customers
Uh,
based on customer data. And we've seen really great success with that. We're actually expanding on the cancel survey as well. But there is really valuable data in looking at those cancel reasons and seeing why your customer base is churning because it can differ. I've seen a lot of merchants, if they're pushing pack sizes that have 60 servings, but they have a 30-day selling plan, you're
mhm.
always going to have I have too much as your top cancel reason. If you bump your prices, your original subscriber base was used to paying $30, you did a price refresh and now they're paying 40, you're going to end up with I'm paying too much. Obviously, macroeconomic pressures are kind of leaning more so into the cost, thought process for customers. So I think that's a consideration for all. But looking at that data helps you understand, okay, how should I treat these customers? What's my retention play here?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's I'm paying too much, you're looking at further discounts, you're looking at optimization of the actual pricing structure of your selling plan and of your subscription program. But if you're looking at I have too much, we're talking about delays, we're talking about swapping into smaller pack sizes, we're talking about moving out your order date to retain those customers. So again, we have tools that via quick actions or our URL builder that you can embed within our cancel survey to then drive customers into those varying flows depending on what makes sense. But I think first step is always for each store it's going to be different, right? We have trends overall, like I said, macroeconomically, people are really pinching pennies and they're trying to make sure they're spending as intelligently as possible. So in that case, I would always say drive as much education as you can from a marketing perspective. Make sure your customers understand the worth of the product before they even go to cancel. But just to round out on that, looking at your data is going to be step one, and then you can continue to iterate from there. But yeah, everyone's going to have a different trend, honestly, per brand.
Okay, sounds good. And as we speak about machine learning and how it helps you optimize the cancel flows, the offers, all of that, how has AI changed the way you build or prioritize product features?
So much. It has
A
been a
lot.
revolutionary, yes, of course. It has been a revolutionary year. It's been really exciting, honestly, just to see all of these new tools come out. I feel so much better equipped from a product perspective to be able to test things. I'm not sure, do you use Figma at all?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. Have you tried their new Figma Make tool?
Yes, yeah. I mean, we use a little different one. There is a shop something that is cool, but it basically works with Figma a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Figma just launched, I think it was a week or two ago, Figma Make, and it has changed the way that I think about product.
Oh, okay.
It's insane. You can put in a prompt and have it generate based on your components library. So based on all of the existing Figma mockups that you have, you can feed that into Figma Make and it can generate a workable prototype. So
Oh, really?
for little things, I was testing our carousel the other day on our customer portal, and I was like, I feel like it's too fast. I don't. There's something about it. We're staying in that 5 to 7 normalized range, 5 to 7 seconds, but there's something about it that just feels too fast. So I plugged in 10 seconds in this Figma
Mm-hmm.
Make tool, and I was like, this is too slow. We're doing things correctly. I'm not going to put any sort of feature, any sort of task. I'm not going to ask my PMs to look into this. I was wrong, right? So we are really better equipped to make those decisions way before we see it in a test environment, which is incredible. And the other thing is so much easier to aggregate data now. We have all of our customer conversations feeding into machine learning. And so I can pull out insights from things so much easier than digging through Gong AI and trying to identify keywords. It's pulling out trends for us to make better decisions without all of that manual labor. So my biggest thing is I don't think, AI is going to take over at any time. Well, that's within reason. For the near future, I don't think AI is taking over anytime soon, but I really feel like it's just equipping us to do our jobs quicker and more efficiently and better, honestly.
Yeah, same here. The word in here that we prefer to utilize internally is that juniors become interns, whereas middle and senior developers or senior like people in
Mhm.
general, they just get enhanced by tools and then they basically speed up their day to day.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Design wise, this is great. What about testing? What do you think about AI and like manual testing or experimentation in e-commerce in general? Like, will it enhance it? Do you
Definitely.
utilize it internally at all?
Yes, yeah. We use those types of tools to test. We also have our user testing platform just rolled out an AI feature that we haven't really tested yet, but it's essentially like bucketing different groups and then you're able to better A B test. It's not as much AI, but more so like A B testing. However, they do categorize the customers based on different prompts that you give it. So it's got AI flair, but it's not wholly AI. We need to start playing with that because I think that's going to be really powerful. And just the quickness that I can get tests to merchants will expedite the roadmap
Mm-hmm.
deliverables so much,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't need a developer to build me out a prototype. I can do it myself. So, yeah, it's been really, really exciting. I'm excited about next year too. I feel like we're going to be flying with this.
Can you tell the listeners which tools you prefer yourself for your day to day other than Figma Make?
Yeah. So we played a little bit with Chat PRD
Uh-huh.
and it works, but we honestly have used ChatGPT at the enterprise level and created a GPT for similarly what ChatPRD would do. So
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT is something that we use constantly. We love this tool, Momentum. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
have you heard of Momentum?
No, I haven't.
No. It's marvelous. It listens to all of your Gong calls and then it creates these summaries and creates action items and it feeds it directly into a Slack channel. And you can then ask questions about it and kind of derive better insights from that call, especially from a product perspective. I don't need to sit now on every single call that our CS team is having with merchants, which hours and hours and hours of time have been saved. Of course, we still do customer interviews, but it's just the need of just sitting on there and trying to listen for insights and listen for trends goes away
Mm-hmm.
because it feeds directly into momentum. So that's been massively impactful. And then, yeah, Figma Make has run to the top of my AI list. I'm obsessed with it. I'm in it every second for the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, those really are the three tools that I would highly suggest to teams.
Cool. Awesome. We'll make a note of that. Um, what is the hardest part of leading a product team in such a fast-moving ecosystem?
Gosh, there's a lot of hard parts, honestly. No, but it's good hard, right? It keeps the
Good
days
hard for
moving
sure.
quickly.
Yeah, great
Um,
for sure.
I think the biggest thing is the competitive closeness. There's a lot of consistent competition at all times, right? So we're always strategizing of how to move the needle in a different way. and the pressure to do that is much higher in such a fast-paced environment comparatively to a larger enterprise, which is I came from a larger enterprise. So seeing that kind of like competition is interesting, but it makes for really innovative products. So it's a blessing and a curse.
Hmm.
The other thing I will say is we support merchants of all sizes. So we've got anywhere from net new to enterprise level clients. And so balancing the needs of both of those merchant types can prove to be difficult, but I think that's kind of where we've shown strength, honestly, is how
Okay.
can we make this tool flexible enough that it is an absolute win for a net new merchant and they can come in and they can use it without support, but also we can give our enterprise clients these awesome playbooks to really play with it and they have the team to go in and experiment. So I think in the same way that it's probably the biggest challenge, it's also the best driver towards innovation and building out an awesome product because we have to think from both sides of the business. Um, so yeah, it's been challenging and obviously because it is so fast paced, our merchants are fast paced too, right? Like their growth is exponential. And so they definitely are pushing for things as quickly as they can get it, which is understood. So, but it's fun.
Absolutely.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's always fun to run a product, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
challenges, but good heart, as you said, very good
Mhm.
expression. What is one lesson that you learned about scaling a SaaS-based product in the Shopify ecosystem?
That's a great question. Um, okay, I think I have, well, this is where I struggle. I have so many. I think number one for me is getting the internal buy-in to the product. It's too easy to create silos, right? Of like product, engineering, CX, and growth. And if growth doesn't know what product is doing and they don't understand what the goal of the 2027 roadmap is, I'm talking 2 years out, they're going to have a harder time selling the product versus if they're keyed into all of those decisions and they truly understand the intent and the why, they're going to do better at selling. CX is going to do better at support. Engineering is going to do better at making engineering level decisions. So that has been such a valuable lesson for me is just, yes, the product team needs to do product. We've got to go and we've got to be product managers. But we also need to make sure that our vision is shared in a way that can be consumed by each of those pillars. Otherwise, you'll end up in kind of like a fragmented situation. So, luckily, learned that lesson pretty early on, but definitely that is the key lesson I think to just building success in a high paced and startup environment.
Is it the lesson that you basically found out about in your previous enterprise position or at Stay?
You know, I think I took that lesson from enterprise and then applied it easier
Basically.
to a smaller group. Yeah, I mean it's hard with enterprise. You rely on a quarterly call with the CEO to tell us what the vision is, and that's not always all encompassing of the why, and it's not all encompassing of how engineers are going to do their job, right? So, yeah, that was definitely something that I saw at a macro scale at an enterprise level. And then coming into a startup, I was like, oh, okay, this is so readily available for them and so much easier to implement. Like, let's be as transparent as we possibly can as far as product decisions go. And then they have the context to do their job successfully. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love the point that, I mean, I love when people basically plan for way more than a month ahead. It's
Mhm.
just, and the point about 2027 is great.
Mhm.
So if you were to look at 2026, 2027 and beyond, where do you see the biggest opportunities for Shopify subscription brands?
Shopify itself is making some really cool enhancements as far as support for subscription goes. So I never discount the fact that you have to be in lockstep with Shopify. We are constantly communicating with them and constantly asking what's coming up so we can maybe carve in some time on the roadmap. And so building those partnerships, if you are in the Shopify ecosystem, building out those partnerships with the product side is so critical.
Hmm.
But yeah, outside of that, I think it's more so like being weary of AI, but also all in. So using AI in a way that isn't just because it's AI. That tool that I'd spoken loosely about, it can feel like AI is a gimmick, right? Where you're just like, come on over. We've got machine learning. Like, let's make it exciting. But if it's not driving value for the customers, what's the freaking point? So
Mhm.
that's kind of my big thing for 2026 is we want to be sure we're on the upper wavelength of this ride that we're on as far as machine learning goes, but we need to do it effectively. So that's absolutely a key pillar that I'm thinking through for the next year or 2 years.
This is for Stay, correct?
Mhm.
Basically for Stay's vision, for how
Mhm.
you envision your growth. Okay, and cool. And on the other hand, what is that one piece of advice that you would give to the merchants, to the brands
Mhm.
entering 2026 and who want to make subscriptions basically their kind of like growth engine rather than the payment method? What would you recommend to them?
Okay, I would say number one, we've got a playbook that I will send as well. We've got a couple of playbooks, but they're so useful. And it's called Do You Have It On? There's
Mm-hmm.
so many things that are just not done. If you want to have subscription as your main revenue driver and you don't have your subscribe and save button auto selected on the buy box, that's step one. And it's such an easy change, but those are little minute changes that you can make immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at your loyalty programs and making sure that we have a punch card loyalty program and it's amazing. It's extremely intuitive for customers so they can actually see on a digital punch card how they're progressing to rewards. Um, have that enabled. There's no harm in giving a customer a low price point gift if they're continuously purchasing from you, right? Like typically the margins are there to do that. So make sure you're looking at the holistic customer journey, just like we do, for how you're treating your customers. And
Mm-hmm.
take a look at your data. If there's churn points throughout the subscriber life cycle that you really feel could be combated, if your high order or your high churn rate is on order two, give them a gift or an incentive before that order fires so you don't have to go through retention flows. But really, like holistically, look at every opportunity for a retention play and make sure you have strategies placed at each one. But I will send the playbook because there's a lot of just easy like toggles that you can toggle on that will save you
Mm-hmm.
money and boost revenue automatically. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool, awesome. Karen, thank you so much. This was a very insightful conversation. I really love the fact that you're willing to share your playbook for free with our listeners.
Okay.
Love the approach to retention rates. Love that you really care about the data. You really care about what's in front of you and how you make decisions based on that. Um, for everyone listening, you can check out the Stay AI Shopify app. We'll add links to their website, to their Shopify app down below. I'll attach the link to your LinkedIn profile for anyone who wants to reach out to Karen personally as well. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you. It was so awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.